Welcome to the RadioU podcast. Coming up, the price of everything is going up, including your Xbox.
Also, scientists want to use dino DNA to make leather goods.
All that and more on the way next. Happy Friday, 8772 RadioU. Hey, if you've already treated yourself to an iced lavender oat milk latte today, congratulations, you owe yourself $6. That's the treat yourself tax. It's being presented as a new way to save money. Every time you buy something dumb and unnecessary, you put that same amount of money that you spent on the thing in savings, and supposedly that will keep you from spending too much, and all of a sudden you'll have a savings that's nicely stocked.
Yeah, I think I like this idea a lot. I know a lot of people implement a similar idea, not necessarily that they put that exact amount in savings when they buy something for themselves, but they'll kind of ask themselves that question, how many times can I buy this thing before I buy it? This is what I would consider the minimum. You can buy it at least twice because you're putting the money into the product itself and then the money into savings. But I know a lot of people operate on like, I can buy it 3 times and that's when I make the purchase, or I can buy it 5 times and that's when I make the purchase. So it just gives you that extra time to really think about, do I need this? You know, can I afford this? So I like that.
I like coming up with different ideas that teach you how to budget so you don't run out of money without actually making a budget, because it's hard for people to sit down and do that, even though there's apps for it and whatever. It's hard to do that, and then hard to stick to a budget too. It can be great on paper or in the app that's like, oh, I'm only going to spend this much on non-essentials, and I'm going to put this much into savings and this much on groceries. And you say all that, and then you actually go to buy groceries, and it's like 3 times as much as you budgeted for. And that's hardly even a fault of your own. It's just everything keeps getting more expensive.
Yeah.
But you also need to not run out of money.
Right.
You need to not spend more than you're making. And so any creative way that's like kind of in the moment too, because there's so many things in the moment where you think, well, I have enough money for this, right? And then like the truth is you probably don't.
Yeah.
But if you're actually going, I have enough money and I can also save some when I do this, it just might be the kind of thing that works for some people.
Yeah, and also it should be a little alarm bell in your head. Like if ever you're asking yourself the question, like, do I have enough money for this? As you said, most of the time, if you're asking yourself that question, it means you probably do not. But yeah, I like the idea.
But hey, credit to you for even asking that in the first place before just buying something.
Some people don't. So yeah, very important to think through those purchases. But yeah, I like this idea to have a little like, and I think it's probably more for the coffee and like smaller purchases that you do on a daily basis. Because as we've talked about, there's so many people that daily go and buy coffee.
Yeah.
And so that's not a huge purchase, but it does stack up over time. And so to add that into savings every day, over time, that's going to be a lot of money in your savings.
Now, the question is for me too, once you put something into savings, what does that mean? Because if you're just going to withdraw it later in the month to buy another iced coffee,
you got to be disciplined to keep it in there.
Yeah, it really isn't doing that much. But if you actually do adhere to the treat yourself tax every time you buy something that's really unnecessary, it's a treat,
non-essential,
you 1-for-1 put whatever much you spent on that into savings, you would be well pleased to see how much you probably do wind up in savings by the end of the month. And theoretically, you would wind up spending half as much on treat items, and hopefully you'd still be just as happy. Allie, think about how much you'd have in savings if every time you ordered Chick-fil-A here, DoorDash, you put that same amount in savings.
Who needs to do that? Nene.
I know.
Or is it like every other day at this point?
Yeah,
and also, I feel like you're
easy.
blasting me. I've ordered it like, once in the past 2 months?
That's too much. That's too much.
It was because I forgot my lunch that day. I'm just going to defend myself.
Well, I wish I could stop saying this, but inflation is running rampant. Been doing the show for a while now. Kind of thought that catchphrase would eventually not be needed. But apparently not. Not today. Price of everything keep going up. 8772 RadioU. The price increases have now hit Xbox. Microsoft announced earlier this week that starting yesterday, the price of consoles, controllers, and headsets, all the accessories for your Xbox going up just in time for absolutely nothing. And that's not all. Coming up later this year in time for the holidays, they're also going to be raising the prices on actual games as well. Get used to those running you at least $79.99 anytime you want to just actually buy a game. This is getting out of control, Allie.
Yeah, absolutely. I am not a gamer, so I do not. I don't have a console of any type, and I don't have any games other than I do have a few PC games.
Mm-hmm.
But I have noticed that the prices on these games have been going up and up and up and up. And I guess it only makes sense that also the consoles, the equipment, all of the auxiliary things that you need to be able to play these video games, they're also going up.
But you know what, though? It doesn't. I feel like I've seen it all, Allie, in my day.
Yeah, well,
but I've never seen consoles go up in price when nothing has changed about them. They typically get lower and lower and lower from the day they release to eventually when they become obsolete. And this is the first time I've ever seen where a company's, Microsoft, Sony, whatever, have just been like, we're raising prices on the console that you could have bought for, you could have bought this exact same console a month ago and it would have saved you $50 for no reason.
Right. I do agree. I didn't mean that it makes sense that they're doing this.
Yeah.
I meant that it makes sense that since they're raising the price of these video games, they're also going to raise the price of the console and the headset and whatever controller you want and all of the other things. Because if they're going to raise the price on something, they're going to raise it on everything.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant. Not that it makes sense overall, but it makes sense that if they're raising it in one area, they're going to in the other. Because if they can get more money from you, they're going to certainly try.
Yeah. But they literally say it's because of they're blaming rising development costs for this.
That's completely under their control.
Yeah.
You would think.
I mean, that's the same kind of excuse that like Netflix and all the other companies that keep rising subscription prices as well. It's just like, well, it's costing us so much to make all this stuff.
To make all this garbage movies.
Maybe you're making too much.
You're definitely making too many bad films.
Too wide of a range.
Yeah.
Now this is becoming a hate on Netflix thing.
Well, I mean, it's so easy to hate on them when they release so many movies that are so bad and shows that are so bad. It's like, they really, they only have every once in a while a good hit on their hands.
But
so, yeah.
The same concept, though, goes to Microsoft with the Xbox, where I think they're just trying to price. I'm sure that things are getting more expensive to make, blah, blah, blah. But I think more so they're trying to price us out of just buying a game and price us into using Game Pass instead, because then they have a nice steady flow of income.
Subscription services.
Yeah. And then once you're hooked on that, then they can start raising the price of that, which they've already done. And then what are you to do? Like, how expensive at this point do games have to get before we, touch grass instead? You know what I mean?
Like, go back out into nature and do things for free.
Yeah, because I don't know. As long as GTA 6 is looming, I feel like the prices can just keep going up. And, it's just one of those things. They don't have to have a lot of good games, but they just have to have enough where you're like, man, I can't stop.
You know what I do, Hudson?
What do you do?
I bought pickleball paddles. It was a one-time fee.
Nice.
One time. And I go to my local park and I play for free. For free! How can you beat free?
You can't beat free.
Oh, it's so nice. And I know people are going to be like, it wasn't free, you're paying that in taxes, blah, blah, blah. Like, yes, but in the moment, I'm not paying for it.
But you're also getting exercise.
Yes.
If you will, give me a moment on the NHL playoffs.
I shall give you a moment. I know a lot happened last night.
Last night was a big night for Canada, although two Canadian teams were playing each other, so eventually, one of them had to win.
One cancels out the other.
But the NHL playoffs have been so exciting. I would argue, as somebody who does enjoy the NBA playoffs, the first round of the NHL playoffs has been better than the NBA playoffs because there's no blowouts in the NHL. Every game is a game until the very end, and a lot go to overtime.
Yeah.
The NBA, a lot of times games are, they're kind of decided. Like the Thunder and Cavs are just blowing people out.
Yeah,
not exactly the most thrilling series.
I will say more recently we have definitely gotten closer games, but overall I would agree.
The NBA should heat up as we go forward, but the NHL, you don't have to wait. You just get great games every single night. Last night, so the Oilers defeated the LA Kings, the 4th year in a row in the first round that the Oilers have beaten the Kings.
Those poor Kings, man.
I mean, they've just got to blow it all up and, like, honestly sell the team, move it to a new town, trade out all the players.
It's just not working. They're just not going to. I mean, they're the higher seed. They just can't do it.
Yeah. They were, like, almost unbeatable at home, and then the Oilers beat them at home.
Oh, it's so sad.
So the Oilers advance on. They will play the Golden Knights from Vegas, who also advanced last night and ended a career of Marc-Andre Fleury, who is he's been a goalie in the NHL for like 20 years, won Stanley Cups with the Penguins, and I think the Knights too. So he's had a great career, ended his career. He's sent him packing.
Yep.
But now we get Knights against Oilers. The Maple Leafs also advanced against the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah.
And that was a crazy series because the Leafs were up 3-0. They lost 2 games in a row, and it's like, oh no, are they going to choke this away? The Leafs are the chokers of the NHL.
Really? Okay.
They are the Dallas Cowboys of the NHL. Some people that are fans like remember back in their heyday, which is even further away than the Cowboys one is, of when they used to be good, but now they're just used to every year in the playoffs, even though they have some great players just screwing it up. They check this out.
They're the Mets.
Yeah, I mean, they're worse.
Oh, no.
Because, the Mets don't make it every year and then screw it up.
Yeah.
The Leafs make it every year, and their fans can be like, oh, maybe this is our year, and then they don't. The Leafs have Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Austin Matthews, one of the top 5 players in the league. Mm-hmm. Since they've had those 2 guys, they are now 2-13 in playoff elimination games.
No way.
I don't even know how that's possible.
That's crazy.
But they were 1-13 before last night.
So improvement.
They move on to the next round.
Who do they play? Do we know yet?
The defending Cup champion Panthers, who I predict will sweep them.
Yeah.
But Canada, I don't know. This could be the year for Canada. You got the Leafs. I don't really believe in them, but
they're there.
They're there. The Oilers now in the next round, and then the Jets, I think they have a chance to advance to the next round tonight. And I think the Jets are Canada's best hope. This could be their year.
Yeah.
Could be Canada's year.
You never know.
And that's your 3 minutes on hockey for the week. But I definitely recommend hockey, especially if we get some Game 7s this weekend. You got to watch.
Yeah.
Nothing more thrilling.
Yeah.
MoviePass is back. Kind of. If you're one of those people that remember the summer of MoviePass, I don't even remember what year it was, but just an all-timer of a summer.
Was that like 2017 or something?
It probably was.
Something around there.
Yeah. It was, well before COVID.
Yeah.
It was the last time a Mission Impossible movie came. Well, 2 Mission Impossible movies ago, I guess.
Yeah.
Because that was what broke it. That was what broke and ended MoviePass. But if MoviePass, if you don't remember, 8772 RadioU, MoviePass was like a subscription. You could pay, it was like $10 a month, and then you could use that card, the MoviePass card, to buy a movie every single day, a movie ticket every single day.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, and what I would do is like buy tickets in advance. Like you could buy a movie ticket for Friday on Tuesday and use that as your Tuesday ticket, and then also buy the ticket on Friday, and then you'd have 2 tickets for Friday. And so that worked for a while. And anyways, MoviePass, for $10 a month. Shockingly, that didn't work out.
No, wasn't getting them a profit.
But we saw so many movies.
Yeah.
So MoviePass is back. But not in the way like that, because that would be too good to be true. Instead, MoviePass is returning with a platform that lets you predict the box office success or failure of movies in exchange for rewards. They call it Mogul. And basically, you kind of make your predictions about how movies will do in different scenarios at the movie theater. And then if you do well, you rise up the leaderboard. You can win digital collectibles. Whoa!
Wow.
As well as virtual currency. I just like currency. Like,
maybe real currency would be better. MoviePass.
Yeah,
I know you're
nice.
not into the giving away money, but like make this at least a little worthwhile.
Yeah, you could also win other rewards, which are seemingly unspecified. So
Movie tickets? I mean, that's what I would hope.
Feels like the least they could do.
Yeah.
A popcorn every once in a while
Yeah.
might be nice.
Honestly, that would be worth it.
But at the same time, I just like making predictions and getting to be right and also having no stakes involved. It's not like I have to pay anything to do this, right?
No, and I think, we talked about how the guy had developed the Fantasy Pope League, and this is just a movie fantasy league.
Yeah. And I know literally a podcast that I really love from the RadioU throwback band Showbread is involved in it. The You Hate Movies podcast. Every summer they do a fantasy league where they rank which movies they think that come out between Memorial Day and Labor Day will make the most money over the summer.
Oh.
And yeah, you win prizes based off of that. I would love to have something like that. And this is kind of that.
It's kind of that. I feel like it's less fun with the whole digital currency thing because it's like crypto or whatever. But I think they've got a good concept here. Mm-hmm. They just need to develop it a little more.
Kind of like when they had MoviePass. When that was actually a thing.
They're a good concept team.
Yeah.
But they're not great at executing.
They're an idea guy. But not like you.
Not a logistics
They're
guy.
the guy that's like, what if we do this for the bachelor party? And everybody's like, yeah, but don't trust him to plan it, though.
No.
Hand that off to somebody else.
Hand it to the logistics person.
Yeah, who then calculates the cost and realizes that nobody can do it. But it was a great idea.
Yep. I saw something pretty cool last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was coming out of church, and I had just finished up with a rehearsal. And I opened the door. It had been raining last night, real heavy here in Ohio. Mm-hmm. And I opened the door, and I see you could see the incomplete thing, double rainbow.
Yes. Did you get a picture?
I didn't get a picture, but somebody else did. I'm honestly really bad at that. But I guess it's not terrible. I like to be in the moment.
Yeah.
And so I'm usually not the person that reaches for the phone and grabs a picture most of the time. Sometimes I think of that, but a lot of times I don't. I kind of wish I had gotten a picture because it was so perfect. It was like a perfect arch. And you could see it from both sides.
Yeah.
But it was really cool just to see a beautiful double rainbow. I know I mentioned to you that I saw that last night off the air, and you brought up the famous YouTube video of, it's a double rainbow.
Yeah, that's a classic from way back in the early days of YouTube.
I know, it's crazy to think how old that video is now. But it was beautiful to see that. And honestly, it was awesome to see it last night, especially coming out of church, because it's a great reminder of the promise that God made us. The rainbow, if you don't know, is the promise that God gives us after the flood happened. In the Bible, we read about, Noah and the ark, and God floods the earth. And when they are, getting off the ark, there's a beautiful rainbow. And God mentions that this is the promise of a new covenant that God has made, a new promise that God has made with the whole world. And that includes us. And so it was a great reminder to see that last night.
Yeah, that it's a reminder of God's mercy, of how Jesus sees all of us messed up people, and even despite all of our, mistakes and mess ups and whatever, and the things about us that we wish you could change and blah, 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 that God is not ever going to be so upset with you, that he so upset with the world or so upset with you specifically that he ends everything. Yeah. And that's actually because many people get in the mindset of that is what God wants to do. Like he's waiting for you for reasons to punish you.
Right.
And that's not what God is at all.
No, absolutely. And I think that's kind of the fun part about, if you read the whole Bible, you can kind of see the narrative that's woven throughout of God's redemption plan. And it culminates in the cross with Jesus dying for us on the cross, obviously. But you can point back to that moment of Noah and the ark and look at that beautiful rainbow and be like, this is the start of what was happening, of God kind of putting together this plan, a redemption plan for me and you. We're talking right now. That happened thousands of years ago. But yet we can look at that rainbow last night and say, that applies to you and me just as much as it did back then. Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing.
Sidebar, can you imagine, before in Noah's time, right? A rainbow wasn't a thing.
No, they didn't have rain.
And so you see a rainbow for the first time, and this is not a thing that you're taught about in school.
way.
That must have been crazy.
That had to have been nuts to see that for the first time.
I guess that's neither here nor there. But listen, if you want to know what that mercy is like and that promise from God that you can never be too messed up or stray too far to have him upset with you or, again, flood the earth or whatever that means for you in your own life, find out about it. Start talking to God. He's there. Jesus is there. He wants to show you that mercy and be there with you throughout every single day of your life. Go to RadioU.com/free gift if you want to know more. There's a few unmistakable smells that you can only experience if you go to a mall. One is that nail salon that's really stinky. Okay. You know what I'm talking about? You walk by the nail salon, it stinks up the whole section of the store.
I don't know if I have
of the mall.
Smelled that at a mall before.
That's one thing I
nail
definitely
polish
remember.
Does smell really strong though.
Yeah, I distinctly remember that.
Okay.
So that's maybe not one of my favorite smells, but the other one that is much better is Cinnabon.
Oh, yes. I definitely can relate to smelling that.
Cinnabons are really, isn't it crazy? They're like only in malls and maybe sometimes at airports. And like, where else do you find a Cinnabon?
Not really anywhere. I don't know if they still do this, but I know for a while they were doing like partnerships with some fast food restaurants where you could order their stuff
at
through.
Wendy's, right?
Yeah, it was Wendy's. Yes.
And Taco Bell, I think.
Yeah.
But that's not the same.
It's not.
It's not the same. You don't walk into the Wendy's and smell the Cinnabons.
Yeah, no.
But it is crazy that Cinnabon, as good as I mean, honestly, you've had Cinnabon, right?
It's so good.
It's like literally one of the best, if you consider fast food. Is it not like possibly the best tasting fast food of all time?
I mean, it's a great, I usually don't go for dessert.
Yeah.
It's a great dessert.
It's a great breakfast.
Yeah, anything.
It's a great any meal.
Anything.
And for some reason, it's confined to malls, and it doesn't make any sense. There should be Cinnabon drive-thrus.
Yes.
I would have so much more Cinnabon if I didn't have to go to the dang mall and park my car and walk half a mile.
Maybe that's a problem, though. We'd be spending a lot of money on Cinnabon.
We would. Well, I'll tell you that one company is trying to bring Cinnabon to you in a whole different way. It's International Delight.
Oh.
Where they partnered up with Cinnabon to create Cinnabon iced coffee.
Okay.
Sure, that's probably not as exciting to you, Allie, after all that build-up. But they are selling canned Cinnabon flavored iced coffee that you can literally buy in stores. They say in 15-ounce cans for $2.68 as a suggested price. But that's not all. They're also, if you want that unmistakable smell, doing a contest where you could win a Cinnabon International Delight alarm clock that has a oil diffuser in it and comes with Cinnabon essential oil. Cinnabon International Delight essential oil that you could put in there. And what a way to wake up to the smell of Cinnabon.
So massive, though. It's huge. What a big diffuser.
Because that is not only a diffuser and alarm clock, it is also a fridge that's meant for those cans of Cinnabon.
Oh, wow. I was going to say it's shaped like a mini fridge, like a desktop fridge or something, to put on your desk or whatever. But I was just very confused why it was so large.
It's big, but it's not so large you couldn't put it on your nightstand.
Sure, if you wanted to wake up to Cinnabon Delight, International Delight iced coffee from Cinnabon.
Which I would. I
could see you doing that.
I love Cinnabon. I love coffee.
Do you have room on your nightstand for this?
If I cleaned it off and got rid of my other alarm clock that I never wind up actually using because I have a phone, then this would fit on there perfectly. My concern, you know me, Allie, I drink my coffee black. I drink 0 Cokes and Mountain Dews because I don't need the calories. This definitely has calories in it.
Oh, yeah?
It's going to be so sweet.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be, that's my one issue with it. But other than that, I'm sure it's great. I'd rather this be like an easy bake oven and I could pop out a Cinnabon to wake up.
Dude, same. That's what I was just thinking. I was like, is there a way that we could get Cinnabon just to make here in the office?
Yeah, we should definitely do that.
I want that possibility.
We never do Cinnabon food. Actually, Nene knows somebody at Cinnabon. And he brought in Cinnabons for food fights a couple times.
We need to do it.
We need to get back with him on that.
We need to do it.
Yeah.
Not the iced coffee, but any other type of
actual Cinnabons.
Yeah.
Get your popcorn ready. It's our Friday tradition, the weekend watch list, letting you know which new movies you could be watching in theaters and at home this weekend, we've got a new Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Thunderbolts. Ensnared in a death trap, an unconventional team of anti-heroes, Yelena Belova, Bucky Barnes, Red Guardian, Ghost, Taskmaster, and John Walker embarks on a dangerous mission that forces them to confront the darkest corners of their pasts. Thunderbolts is now in theaters. 88% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Pretty good.
Not too shabby. Finally, a Marvel movie that the critics seem to enjoy. Also, the popcorn meter, like the
fan
audience,
votes, yeah.
96%.
Wow, the fans are behind this one.
Brent Hawkins of the Lamplight Review says, in a franchise increasingly defined by diminishing returns and fan service fatigue, Thunderbolts offers a rare moment of self-reflection and a detour that feels meaningful in a way that most MCU films haven't felt in years.
Oh boy, this gets me excited. I'm excited. I was feeling like the superhero movie was dying.
Yeah.
And this makes me feel better about it all.
Fan service fatigue feels apt.
Yes.
We're over it.
Yeah.
And now maybe we're back in.
Right. This feels good.
If you're not, maybe you would rather see The Surfer starring Nicolas Cage. A man revisits his childhood beach to surf with his son. Humiliated by locals, he becomes entangled in an escalating conflict that pushes him to his limits. The Surfer is now in theaters.
What an interesting plot.
This sounds so
weird.
Current Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
This is just the movies he makes now.
Very different.
Kind of along the lines of Dream Scenario, which I really loved. The Surfer has an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. And Katie Walsh of the Tribune News Service says, a heady, hypnotic experience that works in tandem with Cage's performance of a man losing himself to find where he belongs.
Ooh.
That sounds interesting.
It does sound intriguing. The plot is very strange, but it sounds intriguing.
It's been a while. Nicolas Cage has been making very strange, odd, fun movies for a while now.
Yeah.
And it's rare that I watch one. First of all, rare that I go to see it in theaters. But then once I do see it on whatever streaming service it lands on, it's rare that I don't really enjoy it and just have a fun time watching.
Yeah, I think the last weird one I've watched him in was Long Legs. Mm-hmm. Very strange.
Yeah.
But I might have to check this out. Definitely probably won't see it in theaters. But
yeah. A wild ride, though, the Nicolas Cage movies.
Yes.
Finally, if you need something to stream this weekend, this is not a movie, it is a show. It's called The Four Seasons, starring Tina Fey and Steve Carell, among others. It's got a pretty good cast. The decades-long friendship between three married couples is tested when one divorces, complicating their tradition of quarterly weekend getaways. The Four Seasons is now on Netflix. It has a 76% on Rotten Tomatoes. I've seen people comparing it to kind of filling a White Lotus-shaped hole in your life if you were watching that show.
Oh, okay.
Now that it's not over forever, but the season just ended. John Anderson of the Wall Street Journal, though, not a fan.
Okay.
He says, given how prominent the cast is, The Four Seasons ultimately feels like something everyone had time to do in between projects of actual substance.
Oh, that's
John Anderson pulling no punches.
Nope.
But I don't know. I don't have the Netflix subscription, so I don't know if I can get around to that. But I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds interesting. It sounds like something that real couples probably would go through.
Yeah. Quarterly getaways, though.
Yeah, that's a little wild.
Yeah. But I guess that's like the White Lotus, where you just gotta have that kind of money.
Yeah.
You can do quarterly couples weekend getaways.
To the Four Seasons. I'm assuming that's where they're going,
I
right?
would think so, yeah. Wow, they really are ripping off the White Lotus. You know what to do. 8772 Radio U. Let us know what you've seen lately or what you are seeing this weekend, and we'll see you at the movies. Picture this. You're at dinner. The check comes. You're ready to pay. You whip out your T-Rex leather wallet. 8772 Radio U. What a flex that would be.
That would be crazy.
And that's actually
a possibility?
Possibly a possibility. According to a company, creative agency, VML, along with genomic engineers at the Organoid Company and lab-grown leather, have announced they're partnering to use T-Rex DNA, actual dinosaur DNA,
Dino DNA,
to be able to one day bring dinosaur DNA, like dinosaur engineered leather, to the market where you're going to be able to buy purses and jackets. I'm assuming that would actually be awesome. A dinosaur leather jacket. Come on.
That would be sick. Has PETA chimed in on this one yet? Because I feel like they're all against the leather, you know?
Yeah, but this would actually, they should be in support of this because no actual animals are harmed at all.
Yeah,
this is completely lab grown. The animals are long dead.
Yeah.
Long dead.
Somehow I feel like they'll still have a problem with this some way.
If this can save just one cow.
Yeah, I know.
Then I think it's worth it.
Or crocodile or alligator or snake, whatever.
Yeah, and all the billions of dollars that billions of dollars they have to spend to make this happen. It's all worth it to save one animal. Save one animal.
Yeah. Well, like you said, I think they would actually be in support of this because it's like, oh, you're making leather goods, but in a way that's not actually killing any animals to make it. So very interesting. Don't know how feasible it is, though, and how much this would be market ready for everybody. Feels like it would be really expensive to get a T-Rex purse.
Not because it would cost a lot to produce repeatedly, but the fact that they have to spend so much money to research to get this actually going. You're going to probably be paying quite a bit, I would think, at first. But
thousands of dollars.
Leather isn't cheap, you know?
I know, yeah. Regular leather itself is not cheap. And the thing they tell you about leather is, like, it lasts a long time. And so that's why it's worth the price. Because I have a friend, or my sister-in-law, she has a leather purse. And it's, like, something that lasts a really long time. It's really nice. And so that's kind of the nice part about it. Even though you're spending a lot, it's well worth it.
Yeah, but so I'm interested. It makes me wonder if we could get leather made out of any animal, instinct or otherwise. Which one would you want?
Could we make a coat out of like mammoth wool or something?
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
that's not leather, but I mean, if you can make leather out of a cow, why couldn't you do it out of a mammoth?
Yeah, and I guess it wouldn't be wool; it'd be like fur. They have fur, right?
Yeah, for a mammoth fur coat.
Yes,
that sounds great.
That sounds very fun.
That would have to be so insulated.
Yeah.
All these things, all these things where it's like lab grown this, impossible that, and that doesn't sound as fun when it's like food from animals that are in existence, food or clothing.
Yeah.
But when it's also that are, like extinct, all of a sudden it feels cooler.
It feels cooler, but also this feels like we're on the progression of Jurassic Park happening.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We're getting closer.
I mean, they brought direwolves back.
Back. They're like, we can make their leather, we can make their skin or whatever.
Next step,
we're going to make them alive.
Yeah.
We're bringing them back from extinction.
Yeah.
We're getting closer, Hudson.
We know how the movies go. When you have a workplace situation that you need some advice on, not just Allie and I, but the other RadioU listeners are ready to help. Email mornings@radiou.com with your situation, and we'll see what we can do. This one feels relatable to me. I don't know if I've specifically gone through this, but I know people that have. We have someone who just sent in, I overheard one of my coworkers saying to another that they say she's been offered a promotion and she's been offered the position of store manager. Now, this comes as a shock to me because I was never even informed that there was an opening for store manager.
Uh-oh.
I've worked here the longest out of anyone, and this person is really new, not even here a full year. I can't figure out a logical reason for why they got promoted ahead of me. The person is younger than me. They have no recognizable not recognizable in any way. I should have edited this a little bit. Significantly smarter than me or more skilled at any particular task that I know of. They aren't some genius. They have significantly less experience, and they seem to try way less hard than me. Yet, they've been offered a promotion in this short amount of time, and I've been barely offered anything and wasn't even aware that this was an option. I feel like I do more work and do it better, so I can't think of a logical reason why this person should have been offered this manager position instead of me when I do all the work, and this person is going to somehow get to boss me around now. What do you do when somebody has been promoted ahead of you and you feel like you didn't even get to know about the opening for the job? I do feel like that's tough.
That's tough, but unfortunately, a lot of times that's how it goes. If upper management just sees that there's an employee that they see something in, that they're like, oh, this would be a good for so-and-so, this would be the position for them, they may go directly to them. But I can definitely tell this person's mad.
They're upset.
So we need some good advice for them.
8772 Radio U. Look, there's two ways about this. One, this person could be maybe they really aren't qualified. As in you, the person writing in, maybe she's not qualified to get this promotion. But she still needs good advice for how to deal with her feelings and how to move forward at the job. Or maybe she is, and this really is wrong. 8772 Radio U. We need some help here on this fired or hired situation.
Yes.
Sounding a little angry.
Yeah, pretty upset.
Which I understand. Max says you have to let higher management know that you're interested in the position if one comes open.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel great. I know, like that advice. It's frustrating too, because it's like, why do I have to be the one when they have an opening? But if they didn't let you know about the opening, that might be a sign that maybe they really don't like value you that much, and you need to make yourself more known. And it's advice I like to give is you can always say, like, put your head down and do really good work, and people will notice. That's not always true. You might be doing really good work, and if you're not making a big deal out of it, bringing attention to it, they might not be paying attention.
Right. Well, and I definitely think it's true that, especially in a store setting, sometimes they are not looking at all employees the same.
Mm-hmm.
If they have heard from, let's say they've heard from this girl that is getting the promotion from her first interview that she's interested in being a manager, then they've kind of kept an eye on her for that.
And they started seeing her in that way.
Yes. And so you do need to sell yourself in these type of positions. So don't just think that it's just going to happen to you. You do need to be like, hey, I'm interested in moving up. I'm interested in improving. How can I improve? What qualities do you see in me that would work as a manager? What qualities do I need to get better in? All of that type of stuff. So don't take this as a shot to yourself. I think it's great that you believe that you're doing a great job, and continue to do that. Don't let this discourage you, but definitely go ahead and talk to your management and say, hey, I noticed so-and-so got a promotion. I would be interested in a promotion in the future, so keep me in mind for that, and please let me know how I can improve to do so.
And here's something sad to think about.
What?
Well, if you've been there longer, you might already be making more money. I mean, you probably are making more money than this person was that started more recently.
Yeah.
And then they promote them to a higher position, which would come with a raise. That might still be less than what you're making, which would be nice for you because you're making more money. But the reason that they wouldn't promote you is just because they'd have to pay you more.
Yeah.
And so
sometimes
again, if you aren't the squeaky wheel that's like, hey, if I don't get a promotion, you don't have to say if I don't get a promotion, I'm leaving.
Right.
But if you don't make it known that you want a promotion,
they won't even consider you.
Yeah, they're going to be like, why would we promote this person when it's going to be more expensive for us? They're just doing what's best for them. And so that's another thing to think about. Some people are saying maybe you're not getting promoted because of your attitude. You might not realize, but based off of what you've said here, you might be, you might be kind of maybe not the best to be around, or maybe this girl just really has a good attitude.
Yeah.
And so they're like, man, she would make a great manager because she's really positive, and you're just kind of either there or have a frown on your face. And so even if you're doing fine work.
I don't want to judge someone for coming across as upset, because I understand, and they may not be upset all the time, but they're upset in this moment. But I really do like Rob's message here. Rob said, he goes, first of all, you're biased to yourself. This is absolutely true. You can be your own worst critic, but you can also be your number one fan.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when you're looking at this other girl and saying, she's not better than me in any way, she's not smarter than me, blah, 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 blah. going through that. Like, that's not a good way to look at this situation. And Rob continues. He says, secondly, apparently the company saw something in that person that they maybe don't see in you. You, and this is what I was getting to, you have every right to feel upset about it, but you need to have a talk with management and see where you need to improve to be eligible for the next promotion.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, the number one advice that we're giving everybody is saying is talk to management.
Talk to management. And I will also say, don't compare yourself to this other person. Because it really, honestly, may have absolutely nothing to do with you and everything to do with the management just really liking them, even if you don't know why.
Exactly.
We live in a world where the cameras are always rolling, which can sometimes be a real blessing. Sometimes you catch stuff and you get to post it on TikTok, and it's exciting. Other times a camera happens to be rolling and it captures a woman pooping on another car's hood in a road rage incident. This happened in Pennsylvania. A woman was mad. Apparently, it was some kind of stop sign incident. But I mean, really, do we even know? We need to know the details. Do we even need to know?
Oh my goodness!
There's no justification. There's nothing that could have been done where we'd be on your side, hopping out of your car, dropping trow, and just leaving a present all over the hood of another vehicle.
Oh my goodness!
How did she have that ready? Is really what I want to know.
All of this.
Yeah.
All of this is insane. I just have no words, Hudson. I no words. Nothing. What is happening? What happened here?
A woman got so upset at another driver for some reason that she got. This is
crazy. This is absolutely nuts. What would compel someone to do this?
You say this out loud. This is what I'm thinking. That us saying this out loud, obviously there's no justification and it makes no sense. You know what's crazy is this woman probably like sped off home because at first she hadn't been caught anyways. She goes home and like her husband comes home or something and she's like, you will not believe what happened to me today.
Right? She'll be the victim in the situation.
This guy at a 4-way stop didn't yield to me because I was there first. And so I got so mad at him that I got out of my car and I pooped on I left my diarrhea on his hood. And what does the husband say? What does he go?
I want a divorce.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, what's the other option?
You are not actually telling me the story right now.
You can't stay married to the Delco pooper, which is...
But I'm telling you, you know that if she felt so justified in the moment that she was telling that until she gets caught by police, which she's been identified now. She's facing many charges. But between when she did this and when she got caught, she was telling somebody, her friends, her husband, her family, she was telling the story of what happened, and she felt like she was in the right.
Which is crazy because there's no way you could be right about this.
What's crazy is the other person, the person the poopy literally could have been the one in the wrong, as in like they could have been the one.
Yeah, they could have done something truly horrible.
But nothing justifies you getting out of your car.
No. Taking everything.
Your pants off in broad daylight in a neighborhood. There could be children around.
There are so many other cars around. The video person that gets this, they look like they're in a work truck, like a construction worker.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you doing? Like, seriously, as I asked before, what would compel someone to do this? I know there's always an action and a reaction. That's how life works.
Yeah.
What was the action to get this reaction? That's what I need to know.
There's some things that just that defy explanation.
It's true.
That defy all logic, and this is one of them. But now she is going to pay the price because she's actually facing, honestly, a shocking amount of charges for what she did. She's facing indecent exposure. That sounds accurate.
Yeah.
Disorderly conduct, I'd say to say the least. Yes. Disorderly. Creating a hazardous or physically offensive condition. I do not know what that means.
Never heard of that.
Sounds apt.
That sounds good to me.
Criminal mischief.
Okay.
This was mischievous, all right.
of the most mischievous.
Property damage, that might be the stretch. Harassment and depositing waste on the highway. Yeah, I guess so.
Wow. This is a crazy, a crazy story.
What a time to be alive.
Thanks for listening to the RadioU podcast. Don't forget to rate and review the show.